Jordan Peele's 2022 UFO thriller, Nope, has had an iron grip on my mind since I saw it in theaters last July. There's an aspect of the film that has just sucked me in completely and has been eating me up ever since. Stephen Yeun's character, Ricky, better known as Jupe. Everything about this man fascinates me. His fame, his trauma, his drive, his obsession, his delusion. It's such rich and unexplored material, and I'm not surprised to hear that the original script had Jupe as the lead of the film, because in a way, he embodies the exploitation theme clearest of any character. It's almost poetic that Jupe suffers from main character syndrome, thinking there's something special about him that the rest of humanity lacks, when Jupe was ultimately pushed out of the main character role and sidelined by Peele in the development process. So today I'm going to talk about Jupe for a bit and why I find him so intriguing. So expect a very stream of consciousness video.
Are you ready?
Let's start off with Jupiter's Claim. Peele is an extremely meticulous filmmaker, as Get Out and Us has shown us. So the name of this location is likely well thought out and deliberate. First off, Ricky is a child star most known for his role in a 90s Western show called Kid Sheriff, on which he played a character named Jupiter, also known as Jupe. The name Jupiter clearly refers to the planet, but it's also a reference to the god Jupiter, also known as Zeus, who freed his family from being eaten by the titan Saturn, also known as Kronos. In a manner of speaking, Zeus's family was eaten and spit out, just like Jupe's family, with the major difference being Jupe's wife and kids were completely digested before the beast spit them out, while Zeus's siblings were actually functional and intact for the most part. And in a Blu-ray featurette for the film, actor Stephen Yeun actually describes Jupiter's Claim as Jupe's nightmare and his prison.
This is his nightmare. This is his fever dream. This is his kind of prison.
The use of the word claim is interesting because it can mean a few things. A claim could be a piece of land someone owns for mining purposes and whatnot, which is doubtless Jupe's intended definition. Jupe has claimed this land for himself and even intends on buying the ranch from OJ and Emerald, so he can keep the UFO to himself and have even more land to expand his business once his alien show brings him more fame and fortune. The term is also used in the context of the phrase claim to fame, which can be applied to Jupe here. He thought the Star Lasso experience would reignite his career and make him a household name again. Jupe's claim to fame would be showing off the UFO at his Star Lasso experience. At this point, Jupe doesn't realize that Jean Jacket is an organism. He still refers to the creature as a ship filled with aliens, or viewers as he calls them. So Jupe was unknowingly trying to tame an untamable creature in Jean Jacket the alien to restore the fame that another untamable creature, Gordy the ape, took away from him. A claim can also be defined as an assertion of truth of something, typically one that is disputed or in doubt. Jupiter's claim is that he has some sort of special inherent connection with the untamable. That's what saved him during the Gordy's home incident, and Jupe seems to think that he has been chosen by the viewers based off this experience with Gordy.
I believe they trust me.
Before the Star Lasso experience, Jupe even mutters to himself,
You're chosen.
indicating that he has completely misunderstood why Jean Jacket has remained in the territory. Jupe, thinking the UFO is a ship harboring some sort of intelligent alien species, doesn't understand that he's conditioning Jean Jacket to expect food at Jupiter's Claim every week. As OJ says, it's an animal, and it thinks that this is its home. Any way you look at it, Jupiter's Claim results in Jupe's destruction. Obviously, the catalyst for Jupe's delusion is the Gordy's home incident. Witnessing the death of his co-stars and the maiming of his first crush is certain to have left Jupe with some mental scars. He's basically been repressing his trauma all this time, and while he most likely believed that the defining moment of his life would be making contact with the viewers, sadly, the Gordy massacre was the linchpin of his entire existence. Every decision he's made since the incident has been a result of this trauma. And while it's infiltrated essentially every aspect of his life, the only time in the film he seems to really let it out is when discussing the SNL sketch.
And he is a force of nature. He is killing on that stage.
And even then, he's dissociating himself from the entire experience and focusing on the actor's portrayal of Gordy rather than the real-life ape. This level of detachment as a coping mechanism is visually represented by the impossibly upright shoe that Jupe zeroes in on during the mayhem. Rather than acknowledging this horrible event that he has personally witnessed, he chooses to focus on the media's portrayal and response to it. And by the time Jupiter's claim is up and running, Jupe is exploiting this massacre just as bad as SNL and Mad, opening up a showroom and featuring the Impossible shoe and charging people for the experience. It's also possible that Jupe has convinced himself that the viewers had some sort of involvement in keeping the shoe upright as a sign to him that he is chosen. When people endure severe degrees of trauma, and in Jupe's case, survivor's guilt, they concoct really contrived explanations in their heads for why they survived and the others didn't. Perhaps Jupe refuses to believe that the Gordy incident was simply a case of a wild animal going primal, and that the shoe's positioning was simply a random event. It must be for some greater purpose.
They're giving us a real show today.
That they are.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the influence Jupe's wife, Amber, has on his ambitions. Growing up as a child star, Jupe was surrounded by people who almost certainly did not have his best interests in mind. Just as fame and fortune drove the people around him as a kid, Amber pushes him in the same direction as an adult. When Jupe is sitting in his office, reliving the Gordy experience, Amber gently asks him if he wants to go over his speech again. While on the surface, this gesture seems innocuous and almost compassionate. His wife wants to help him to give the best performance possible. Her actions are driven by greed. On repeat viewings, you begin to notice that anytime Jupe starts drifting away from reality, Amber always steps in to keep him on track. When Jupe is startled by the UFO's aggressive behavior at the Star Lasso experience, Amber assures the crowd that everything's alright, even though it's clear Jupe is panicking internally due to his loss of control over the situation. He struggles to speak for a moment, then anxiously assures everyone that everything's going to be okay. Well, he's most likely trying to convince himself that everything's going to be okay. Amber is clearly blinded by her desire to garner attention, as she's willing to set aside her common sense and the well-being of her family and the audience for this spectacle. It's even possible that Jupe himself doesn't care about fame or fortune at all, and it's been Amber pulling the strings the entire time. It seems to me that Jupe's main drive for interacting with the viewers is the belief that he's been chosen by them. The belief that he's special somehow has been the only way he can cope with his survivor's guilt up until this point. So it makes sense that he's fooled himself into believing that the trust of these alien beings is proof that he has some greater purpose in the universe. And it's not a coincidence that Amber's voice is the first we hear when we cut to the Star Lasso experience scene.
Now, we're not going to let a few clouds kill our fun today, are we, folks? So, without further ado, welcome to the Jupiter's Claim Star Lasso experience!
But another detail that makes me think that Amber is the driving force behind their ambition is that Jupe invites OJ and Emerald to the Star Lasso experience. It appears that he does this of his own accord, wanting to prove to the Hayward siblings that their horses play an important role in his greater purpose. If Jupe cares so much about fame and fortune, he wouldn't invite the people whose horses he's literally sacrificing without their knowledge. He's smart enough to understand that OJ and Emerald would likely stop selling him their horses if they witness what he's actually doing with them. However, if Jupe thinks he can convince them that their horses are helping him gain the trust of the viewers, then inviting them to the show makes sense as a gesture of goodwill. In an interview, the actor Steven Yeun said, "I didn't want Jupe to merely be a victim of circumstance, but to also, as an adult, desire something and have his own agency towards something." This quote really reveals the tragic nature of Jupe's story. Just as the people around him are eating him alive, his obsession with proving the world, and most likely himself, that he has a greater purpose in life has consumed him to the point where he doesn't even realize that he's orchestrating his own destruction. The look on his face as he stares up at the UFO is ambiguous in the film, but the script gives us something a little different. As the wind kicks up and the shadow descends overhead, he realizes what he's done. He almost has to laugh. Peele tells us that Jupe realizes what he's done, but does this mean that Jupe finally understands that Jean Jacket is an organism, or simply that he's laid the groundwork for his own fate? I assume the latter, so I guess he didn't realize that he was actually being eaten until everyone else did. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. This video was pretty off the cuff and spontaneous, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Let me know your thoughts on Jupe or Nope or anything, and Ripley and I will catch you in the next one.